Hi everyone, welcome to today's morning report on Tuesday, the 20th of October, with me, Rich Pro Market Analyst at Hantec Markets. The European trading session got off to a bit of a mixed start. It actually fairly positive at the open, or just slightly supported, and just in the past few minutes, actually, it started to fall away a bit. FTSE and DAX have both sort of turned from positive to negative. No massive reason why. Although there was a comment out around about 9 o'clock suggesting that the ECB was talking about QE and how it would impact on profitability of banks. So that's not really anything new, that comment, but still maybe it's sort of induced a bit of profit taking perhaps on these markets. So it's just sort of tempered a little bit of the improved sentiment that we were seeing today. There was a bit of an improved risk appetite pretty much on the forex markets, where we saw slight improvement in pretty much across the forex majors, away from the yen. There was apparently a big trade on sterling yen that went through this morning, and pushing that pair higher, and that certainly has helped to put pressure on the yen to the downside, and pushing euro higher, sterling higher, and looking across the Aussie and the Kiwi, they're quite strongly higher. Commodity prices, for example, have been supported as well. The gold price has been supported today, rebounding $3 after sort of weakness over the past 3 days, and also the oil price as well, slightly supported. So you've seen a slight improvement in risk sentiment across the forex pairs today. And you can see on the VIX, for example, VIX in the US continues to fall away. So that would suggest, again, improved sentiment in the US, even though it didn't really have a strong run high yesterday. And be interesting to see how the US reacts today, because you've had IBM that reported overnight. Interesting set of results, missed expectations on revenues, and they also sort of cited the slowdown in China and also the strength of the dollar as reasons to be cautious going forward. So certainly that how that plays out today in the US equity markets will be very interesting, because obviously that is the main concern for the market as a general, those two factors. So the fact that IBM was citing that is interesting in itself. Now, we've got a few Fed speakers today. We've got Jerome Powell, Bill Dudley as well. Interestingly, Bill Dudley has been until recently actually turned relatively sort of more centralist or centrist in his comments, and be interested to see what he comes out with today. Also, we've got comments from Janet Yellen as well, but not expecting too much out of that. But as ever, when she speaks, then there could be a bit of movement around that, so watch out for that later. In terms of our economic announcements today, we've got the building permits and housing starts. Building permits expected to slightly down, not much, 1.16 million on the permits, and in terms of housing starts, slight pick up to 1.15 from 1.13 last month. So nothing major in terms of changes on those datas, but certainly still that the housing market in the US remains pretty firm. So that takes me on to my chart of the day, which is Euro Sterling. Now, we've had some interesting moves on Euro Sterling, actually. Sterling has been sort of holding up pretty well against the dollar, nicely consolidated last few days as the euro has come under pressure to the downside. Euro's bounced today, and in the morning report I wrote about the fact that we'd broken this initial support, 73 sort of 28, 73.30, let's say, on that euro sterling, and the breakdown of that support should theoretically now mean it sort of continues to move low. Look at that, the stochastics had already broken that support and continued lower. So the momentum is more to the downside in this euro sterling. And you'd say that the fact is, if I zoom out, you're still trading in this big broad band, aren't you? Nothing doing there. But the middle of that band comes in around that 72 figure mark, which I think is where we could sort of see euro sterling coming back to in the next few days, perhaps, if we do see that correction coming through. So that is what I'm sort of moving towards, I think, in my strategy. I think you've got the lower highs and lower lows in this hourly chart. So the breakdown of that old support. Momentum indicators not too negative actually, although there is a slight bearish bias, you would say, in the hourly momentum now, with the MACD lines rolling over under neutral, and also this the RSI on the hourly sort of failing around 60 point. And we've had this mini rally today back into this resistance, this sort of initial band of resistance, you'd argue, sort of 73.40 up towards that sort of 73.70 area. So that's where we've started. We've now seen the rally into. So will it be that you get a bit of a sell signal in this area now with these momentum indicators on the hourly chart unwound? It could well be, and then put pressure back on that 73 figure low that we saw yesterday, and then ultimately drifting back towards this sort of pivot band of support around 72.20, 72.30 area. So that is sort of the expectation I've got at the moment. It certainly looks like cable is sort of a bit stronger than the euro, so that should be a drag on euro sterling. So I wish you good luck in your trading today, and I'll speak to you later. Thank you.